Well, concrete, it is a little different. You got to kind of slip the clutch a little more, and if you dump it too early, you're going to just sit there and spin.
I think I can pull off a whole shot. I mean, it's just like any other start. You just got to prepare a little bit more for the cement start and, you know, just put a little more weight on the wheel and guess everybody pretty much smokes their tires, so it gets smoking and kind of gummy, so it hooks up better on the cement. So I do all that stuff, and I think it'll work out fine.
One of the best things that I found when you do start on the concrete, you know, is to sit, you know, like, you know, maybe 3/4 of the way back on the seat, you know, and you want to really load all the weight, you know, to the rear end. And then once you hit the sand, you're not going to wheelie, you know, so you don't really have to worry about keeping the front wheel down.
Well, there's a look at the hometown boy, Doug Henry, as he goes for his second overall win of the season. We'll be back at Southwick with the start of Moto number 1 right after this.
Why settle for half a workout on an ordinary treadmill when you can get a superior total body workout? Introducing the incredible new WalkFit from Nordic Track. Unlike ordinary treadmills, WalkFit's unique design lets you exercise your upper body and lower body at the same time. You get a fast, effective total body workout that burns up to 1,000 calories per hour. Whether your goal is to lose weight, tone muscles, or relieve stress, you can do it all with the WalkFit Total Body Treadmill from Nordic Track. Clinical tests show you can burn up to 79% more calories than with ordinary treadmills, up to 1,000 calories per hour. The unique upper body motion and lower body resistance actually results in a 53% greater cardiovascular workout than with ordinary treadmills. And WalkFit has no motor. It's safe and easy to use. Unlike motorized treadmills, you control the pace. There's no herky-jerky starts and stops.
Massachusetts Motocross 338, John Kernan, Jan Beekes, and Jerry Bernardo. Jan getting set for Moto number 1, the whole shot. A very tense time for these riders as they get ready.
Well, you can see Ezra Lusk getting his Suzuki ready for action here. This is the one time where that unique start that Jerry talked about. Oh, look at that. These guys are, you can see the kind of grip you can get. You get that rubber onto that asphalt. They're getting ready here. Now remember, the big transition is where they go from that concrete or asphalt to the sand. That's really going to be great to watch.
There's the sign. We're getting ready for the start. The gate drops, and they're off. Coming up through the first turn, it looks like the red Honda. That's Doug Henry, the defending national champion, gets out in front, and he's followed closely by his teammate Steve Lamson. It also looks like the Yamaha rider Jeff Emig was in 3rd place.
Yeah, you can really get a look there at how soft the sand is right off the start. Emig was another one who got a good. This is called the Frog Pond. They're coming down the hill here. This is one place where the spectators really can't see as well as they can in the whole open area. Yes, we do see the 2 Hondas followed by a Yamaha. And we look, oh, there's Robbie Raynard, got a good start also.
Robbie Raynard trying to move his way to the top 5, and already some problems down in this big horseshoe turn, the Frog Pond, as it's called, as one rider loses it, several riders get back up. Looks like 94 Anthony Paggio was involved, also number 58 Brian Deegan was involved, but it looks like everyone got back up and got on their way.
Well, that's one thing about a sandy surface. If you do bite it, obviously it's a little bit of a softer landing.
It's a hard ride around this track. As you see Doug Henry, the leader, starting to put some distance on 2nd place Steve Lamson. You saw him right there. He's cleaning off, possibly taking off a tearaway, but a lot of sand right here. The bike can get bogged down, and our pit reporter Jerry Bernardo had a chance to talk with several of the riders earlier.
Trick question. How good of a sand rider are you? Southwick, really nice track, fast. It's going to get whooped out. Sand City.
Everybody thinks I live in Southern California now that I don't know how to ride sand, but I pretty much grew up in Northern California in the sand, and I pretty much race it every weekend, so, you know, I know how to ride it, and I'm in good enough shape for it.
I don't really ride a whole lot of sand, but I think, you know, I think I can go just as fast as anyone here, and more than anything, I think that I can race better than anyone here, and I guess we'll see today.
What's with the new look, the George Michael with the scruff, with the beard thing?
Well, I forgot my razor at home, and I just said, screw it. You know, this sand's gets you real dirty, so I said, don't worry about it. I'm just going to wait till I get home, and I just come here to win. You know, I like sand a lot, and I did real good here last year, and I need to get back up in those points. And I'm through screwing around. I'm through learning. I'm ready to go out there and win in the outdoors.
I thank very much Jerry Bernardo. Well, Doug Henry, another one ready to add to his win list. He won last week. This week he's at his home track. Apparently the stomach problems are gone.
Well, it seems that way. He has to eat a very bland diet like we've talked about before. Also, I find interesting the confidence of those guys as Jerry interviewed them and the cockiness that they have, and they build that. But these 2 Honda riders, much more humble. You know, you can really talk to them, and they're saying, well, you know, I'll just do my best today, whereas we can really see the guys that are trying to catch up. They're really trying to just pump themselves to go after the Honda riders.
I tell you what, it looks like Lammy is catching his teammate Doug Henry. Remember, he told Jerry Bernardo he definitely can ride in the sand, and it looks like he might be catching his teammate.
When we talked about physical conditioning, the thing about the sand, it really does wear you out. These guys have to pace themselves because it takes a lot more strength to ride these bikes on a sandy surface than a hard one.
And you also don't see them getting a lot of time to rest. I mean, they're not sitting down on the bikes.
Well, you'll actually see them on this kind of track stand more than they usually do because they need to do that. Oh, we're seeing them come up the inside and make a bid for it.
And Lamson to the outside as they go down the jump. Lammy taking the inside line. He's going to take over first place over teammate Doug Henry.
That was a nice pass. He got good drive coming off the previous corner and then just kept the front end light, kept some good traction in the sand, and then came in and did a picture-perfect inside pass.
Well, Lammy's the points leader by 15 over Damon Huff. And a little further back, Ezra Lusk. Oh, he gets off the track. I think he might have grazed a fan right there, Jan, but he gets on his way. It looks like everybody's okay.
Well, I guess that's a replacement for hay bales. There's the mechanic, Ed Longacre. Oh, that's what happened. It threw up the rear wheel right as he hit that. One guy dives for cover. This guy tries to get out of the way. He realized, man, I'm in the middle of the racetrack. Get the heck out of here. I think they'll change their seats after that one.
Well, Steve Lamson is pulling ahead a little bit of Doug Henry. Let's check in with Jerry.
Only moments before the pit board read, good job. I wanted to talk to Steve Lamson, came out of second place, moved in front of teammate Doug Henry.
Yeah, he sure did. He made a nice clean pass back there, and still a long way to go. But he's been training real hard up in the Sierras at high altitude, and I think he's going to do good here. He's feeling real strong.
We have a demanding track, 35 minutes of wide open sand punishment, but Lammy's in pretty good shape.
Yeah, he's been riding 50-minute motos wide open in the altitude, and I don't think it'll be a problem for him.
All right, we'll come back and talk to you. Thanks.
Okay,
All right, thank you, Jerry Bernardo. Jerry Bernardo recently voted the coolest motocross TV personality, Jan, by Motocross magazine. A little further back, this is the battle for third place between Mr. 125 Jeff Emig and Robbie Raynard. Robbie had some problems at Mount Morris.
Well, he did. He has broken ribs, actually, and he said it doesn't affect him too much when he's riding, only if he coughs. So obviously he's hoping right now that that's not going to hold him back. He does look like he's closing ground on Emig.
He does look like he's doing a fine job. They come around that horseshoe turn, the frog pond. Fans are down there. It's second gear up the hill, I believe. With Jeff Emig right now. I think maybe he knew Robbie was getting a little bit closer to him, and he might be trying to stretch out that advantage, John.
One thing you can watch is that Robbie Raynard is known for not using much energy when he rides. Now, this is the kind of racetrack, being as sandy as it is, where that style, as long as he's fit, will really pay off.
Well, we mentioned how physically demanding this racetrack is. You have to really keep the up pressure. You got to keep a lot of the downforce off of that front wheel, don't you?
Well, you do. You also have to keep it light because of the traction aspect of sand. These guys have to keep it hooked up.
Well, right now it looks like Jeff Emig is hooked up and starting to pull away from Robbie Raynard, but the leader of the race continues to be Steve Lamson, followed by Doug Henry. Across 338 Southwick, Massachusetts, Jeff Emig is running now currently in third place, but Jan, he's losing a lot of ground to those leaders. You see Robbie Raynard coming up in fourth.
Well, it actually looks as though he lost most of his ground at the start. Oh, Robbie is down.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, let's see. Hopefully he's okay. No, he has been injured so much this year. That's probably one of those shoulders. He's had a lot of trouble, and we said he already had broken ribs coming in here. So we hope Robbie's going to be okay.
Right now, he looks like he's in a lot of pain as one of the corner workers is helping him, assisting him over. Look, holding that right shoulder. Robbie Raynard, after a vicious crash, it was kind of hard to see what happened. Oh, there it is on the landing.
Wow, he came down. His arms just gave out. He didn't land the way he had hoped and just collapsed on top of the bike. Man, that's got to hurt.
Well, we certainly hope that Robbie is okay, that it's nothing serious, but it looked like he was in quite a bit of pain. Back up front, the two Honda Red Riders. Steve Lamson is the leader. He's followed closely by the hometown hero, Doug Henry. And you know, Jan, as you look at this, we talked about this track being physically demanding. It doesn't look that way on TV.
No, it doesn't look rough because it's not the roughness that makes it demanding. It's that the sand drags. It takes a lot of physical effort to make the bike do what you want to. You talked about having the front wheel light. That's very important for getting traction. That takes physical effort to always keep. And look, they're all standing through these sections. That obviously works on the leg muscles.
Not a lot of time to relax at Southwick, but Steve Lamson has things going his way. You know, Steve is trying to run away with his points championship. He has a 16-point lead over Damon Huffman. There you see the rear wheel kick out as he goes into the left-hand turn. But just listen to these statistics, John. At Gainesville, Lammy is second. Sacramento is second. An overall win at Budds Creek, and then last week at Mount Morris, his worst finish of the year overall, a 5th. That's the kind of stuff championships are made out of.
You know, it took consistency last year for Doug Henry to win the championship, but Doug Henry won 7 motos last year. He's only won 1, and Lamson has won 1. So these guys know in order to get a championship, it takes consistency, but you got to still come home with a win.
Well, Doug Henry is trying to chase down his teammate Steve Lamson to pick up his second moto win of the year, the overall leader in winning motos, of course, Jeff Hemming. Now it looks like Henry making a bid for the pass on the outside, but no, Lammy holds him off.
Well, it looks like he had the lead there momentarily, but then he didn't have the drive coming off the turn previously. Now we get a chance to look at it in replay. Look, he takes a line to the outside, actually pulls ahead, so he took the best line coming into the corner, but right there, can't get the bike over on the side and pick up the traction, and Lammy pulls out.
Well, Lamson maintains the lead, Doug Henry behind him, and it looks like they're both trying different lines right now. Maybe Doug Henry knows something that Lamson doesn't, knows how this track is going to change.
Well, they're crisscrossing from side to side as we go up to Emig here. Obviously, with a sandy track, there's many different lines you can use.
Well, Jeff Emig still maintaining that 3rd position. Of course, we saw Robbie Raynard, who was running in 4th, has crashed and is pulled off of the race course. Well, Emig is 3rd. Let's check in with Jerry.
All right, Steve, your man, Mr. Emig, he's in 3rd, but he's about 9 seconds back. What do you think he's thinking right now?
Well, his lap times have slightly been getting faster, so hopefully he'll start catching up. I think he's running about the same times as Steve is right now, so we'll just see towards the end.
It's going to be a long moto, about halfway, but you know he doesn't like to be where he is.
Yeah, there's still 15 minutes left, and, you know, they can get tired, or he could feel strong towards him, what to see.
All right, thanks, Steve.
Sure, thanks.
Well, Jeff Hemming running a strong 3rd place. Back up front now, it's the Red Riders, the Honda teammate Steve Lamson, followed by Doug Henry. Doug Henry looks like he might be closing in a little bit now, Jan.
Well, it does look like it, and any time that teammates go to, oh, man, a little bit loose there, but he keeps the power down. You can see that they have to be loose on top of the bike and let the bike do what it wants to. I started to say that when teammates are racing against each other, that's when they really go for it, because there's no excuse when you're on the same bike.
What about this surface and the differences in the shocks that they might be using?
Well, when they come here and they practice, they say because of the sandy surface, they like to run a lot of rebound. In other words, they don't want the bike to fly. Oh, we're starting to see a challenge up here.
Doug Henry going to the inside. Henry moves. Oh, but look at Lammy with a great move as he cut back, cut the corner short. Now he is back out in front, but Doug Henry goes to the inside and takes the lead momentarily.
Well, they're shifting back and forth. One guy takes an outside line, and, oh, it looks like Henry, for right now, does have the better of Lamson. What happens is when you go for a move, you give up the lane, and one guy, if he's quick enough, can cut back and repass you.
Well, Doug Henry out-jumped Lamson going down the hill right there. He takes over the lead, and listen to this hometown crowd cheer for their hometown hero. And speaking of the hometown hero, Jerry Bernardo is with his mechanic.
Pete, obviously a changing of the guards. The #1 plate out there switched back into where #1 should be, in 1st.
Yeah, Doug, he had a strategy where if somebody passed him, he'd hang with him, check out his line, and see what he can do to get him back, and that's what he did.
Okay, well, Lammy looks like he's back like 4 seconds or so. Do you think he'll be able to pull on Doug and maybe make another move?
Well, I wouldn't count that out, so this race isn't in the bag yet.
But it's starting to look pretty good for Doug Henry. He has extended his advantage over Steve Lamson.
I think you can see these guys pacing themselves, and when they decide to go for the gas, in this case, he's pulling out a pretty good lead.
And there's the indication from Pete Steinbrecher to Doug Henry just how big a lead he has. Lamson is 2nd, Emig 3rd, followed by Ezra Lusk and Damon Huffman. Welcome back to Motocross 338, Southwick, Massachusetts. We're looking back at the battle for 3rd, and Jan, it looks like Ezra Lusk might be catching Jeff Emig, and that's something because remember earlier on in the race in the moto, he got off the track, in fact, coming up this hill.
Yeah, it was right there. Those guys haven't moved back. They're brave spectators, but at the moment, he's trying to close that gap on Jeff Emig.
Well, remember, Robbie Raynard was running 4th. He had that crash. No word yet to the extent of his injuries. We hope he is okay, but he looked like he was pretty sore around the right shoulder. But Ezra Lusk doing a great job right now, chasing down this man, and you see a lap right there. Look over his shoulder. They're very good about checking out, seeing where the leaders are, and getting out of the way and letting the guys who are up front go for it.
Well, you can see how tired some of the back markers are, and it really gives you the appreciation for how hard these guys, especially Ezra Lusk, he trains really hard.
Well, right now, he is training his sights on Jeff Emig for the third position. Lusk looking to chase down Mr. 125, and it looks like he is slowly but surely closing the gap, and there are just a few laps remaining in Moto number 1. Well, let's check in with Ed Longacre, Ezra Lusk's mechanic, who is standing by with Jerry Bernardo.
Ed, 4 laps to go. Ezra Lusk pulling on Jeff Emig.
Yeah, he's digging deep, a lot of heart. We got a rear wheel full of banners. You know, he's just riding as hard as he can. We'll see what happens.
How do you think he feels late in this moto if the sand sucks the life right out of you?
I think he's wondering why his bike's not pulling like it should, but hey, he's doing his job. I'm happy.
All right, hope for a good second moto.
Yeah, that's the truth.
Thanks a lot, Massaholic.
Oh, yeah, I'm a masshole.
Hey, you're from Massachusetts. Here we are.
Oh, yeah. Where do I pay my taxes?
Well, you know, these mechanics are under a lot of pressure, but Jerry can always make everybody laugh. Now, he mentioned about a banner, and that, of course, is when he ran off the course. Ed Longacre does not know that's because he ran off the course. He's probably got a T-shirt stuck in there. He's probably got all kinds of stuff from that guy he ran over.
Well, it doesn't look like it's creating much of a problem. He is slowly but surely chasing down Jeff Emig. Remember, Jeff Emig started off the year in great fashion, a winner at Gainesville. Ezra Lusk, though, came back and won the first moto at Sacramento. Then he at Bud's Creek, he ran into some problems at 14th place overall, but right now he is looking to move in and take over that third position.
Well, it's kind of interesting to see the way the Yamaha handles two here and then also the Suzuki that follows. We talked before about shocks and about how they set those up. I talked about rebound. What they're trying to do is make sure that the wheel comes back more slowly on this kind of track, like right through there. They don't want the bike hopping on a sandy surface, then you really lose a lot of grip.
It's just strictly a grip. It's not a comfort, or it doesn't help the rider any.
Well, obviously, the way that you get traction, the way you accelerate is you have to keep the bike on the ground. And the way you do that is running extra rebound, like we mentioned, in the shock absorber, trying always keep that contacted and then stay on the gas.
Well, right now, Ezra Lusk is staying on the gas as he is, I've said it before, slowly but surely chasing down Jeff Emig. In fact, it looks like he's trying to copy some of Emig's line, John.
Well, you know, this is for bragging rights. Remember when Jerry interviewed both these two guys, they were very cocky. They said, I know how to ride in the sand. I'm going to do it today. So whoever pulls this one out will be the chief bragger. But, of course, we have the two Hondas that are ahead of both these two guys.
Oh, yeah, they're definitely winning the braggers race right now. They pulled out to quite an advantage. As you look at the third-place battle, there's Jeff Emig, and Doug Henry is your leader. He's followed by Steve Lamson, Emig, Lusk, and Huffman. Welcome back to Southwick, Massachusetts. We are in the closing stages of Moto number 1, Jeff Emig and Ezra Lusk now having to deal with some lap traffic out there, and it looks, Jan, like Jeff Emig has negotiated the lap traffic a little bit better. He's able to extend his lead over Ezra Lusk.
Yeah, that is very important here to be able to pick a good place to pass. One thing nice about this track and the surface is that you can take a bunch of different lines, but look, we can see that Lusk right now is losing ground because he hasn't found a way past those back markers. Now he's gone through.
Well, now we'll see if Lusk has enough time to chase down Jeff Emig, but laps are running out. We only have about a lap and a half, 2 laps to go in Moto number 1, and Ezra Lusk running out of time if he's going to take over that third position.
Well, right now what he has to do is hope possibly that Emig is caught by a lapped rider just like he was. That really looks like the only way he's going to close that gap with only a few to go.
You wouldn't think, you know, in car racing, getting around lap traffic is a problem. You wouldn't think so on a two-wheel motocross bike.
Well, you would actually, because there's really one fast line, and there are many lines you can take, but there's one that's ideal. And if somebody else is taking it, obviously you're going to lose some ground.
Well, running all alone, it seems, is Steve Lamson, the points leader, who is second place behind his teammate Doug Henry. And Doug Henry has done a pretty good job at just pulling away after he got around Lammy. Remember, Henry took the whole shot, then he gave up the lead to Lammy, and then he got back around past the midway point. And since then, Doug Henry has managed to pull out to a humongous lead. And yes, now we're on the final lap.
Yeah, you could see that board that was hung out there. It had a 2 on it, but of course we're seeing the backside. So on the other side, it said number 1. Here he is. Okay, 1 lap to go. He's giving him 1 finger. Let's go. Obviously the hometown crowd here. He lives actually in Oxford, Connecticut, but this track is on the Massachusetts-Connecticut border, so it's not far for them to go. 10,000 here today cheering on mostly Doug Henry.
And they've had a great race to watch. As John told you earlier, you can see almost all of the action from anywhere on this race course, except when they go down around that horseshoe turn at the Frog Pond, which is where Doug Henry is right now. And you can hear the fans, a little wave right there to his hometown fans, and they are going wild, Jan.
I was probably like, "Hi, Mom, how's it going?" He knows specifically where the family is. One thing we haven't mentioned about this sandy surface, we are on the last lap. This sand, the granules, tend to get into these bikes, sometimes into the engine, sometimes into some of the other mechanisms, and we have to watch here possibly for bikes having problems. We might see it more in the second moto, but this race isn't over yet. This sand really does plague these motorcycles.
But do you think that's on Doug Henry's mind right now? I mean, he has such a big lead. He can't think about that. He can't concern himself with that, can he?
Well, he definitely, it's not on his mind, but I tell you, it's on every one of these mechanics' minds. There he goes. Yeah, he's in the air. He's going, yeah, I have this one. What they do is sometimes they run double air filters. They do everything possible to keep the sand out of these bikes.
Well, Doug Henry is taking a leisurely last lap ride around Motocross 338 here at Southwick, Massachusetts. You can hear every turn he makes. You can hear fans cheering him on. But what a tremendous job he has done. Remember a winner last week at Mount Morris with winning the first moto and then a 5th place to take the overall victory. And he looks like he's well on his way. And there, once again, the fans, little waves saying, "Hi, how you doing? Thank you very much. Thanks for coming out."
Well, he's very happy about this. The only thing he wouldn't be too happy about is his Honda teammate as he comes across the line, takes the victory, pulling a wheelie. Now, of course, Lamson also scored a lot of points here.
Well, Jeff Emig holds on to the 3rd position. He's followed by Ezra Lusk, and Damon Huffman will round out the top 5. 6 through 10, LaRusso, Hughes, Sheik, Treadwell, and Carter. Jerry Bernardo is with our winner.
Doug, I said anytime you're ready, you can go out and rage for 35 minutes straight and still have the breath to talk to me?
Yeah, the track's great out there. It's not as rough as you usually get, so it wasn't really that difficult, to ride that 35 minutes.
All right, tell me about the whole shot. You got a killer start, Lammy in tow, little change into the guards, but you ended up taking the #1 spot, just like your plate.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to go out there and get a pace going. And Lammy was riding really good, and I don't know what happened to him about halfway. Either something happened to his bike or he just got tired out there. I'm not really sure. And I just went over, took the lead, and just relax and pace myself for the rest of the race, save my energy for the next moto.
A little bit of a hometown favorite, MX338 out here.
Yeah,
how'd the track hold that water? Big downpour yesterday.
Oh, it's no problem. This track, can really hold the water good, and it's just great that it was here, that it rained, before the National and not somewhere else.
Right. You like it when you start the first moto out like this, don't you?
Yeah, it feels great.
All right, thanks, Doug.
All right, thank you, Jerry. Well, some great racing between the Honda teammates, the Red Riders, Lamson, who got around Doug Henry and led for a little while, but he wound up 2nd, and he's now with Jerry.
Okay, Steve Lamson, totally covered in sweat. It's about 100 degrees out. Nice battle out there with teammate Doug Henry.
Yeah, it was good, Doug. Riding a good race, and I just kind of followed him around first few laps, and I got it open and went by him, and I knew he wasn't going to give up, and kind of hounded me down and passed me, and we went back and forth a little bit, and then arms were a little bit pumped up, so I just kind of backed it off before I threw it away, but Doug rode a good race.
You guys are running a blistering pace out there. I mean, full moto, full shred. How's the track? Getting really rough? Looked a little skippy.
Yeah, it's getting pretty rough. It's the first few laps you got to sprint and get away from them guys. That's what me and Doug did, and we had a good pace out in front, so it's going to be rough for second moto, so just got to get out there and ride hard.
So Goose told me you were running 50-minute training motos, pulled it down at 35, still got the arm pump.
Yeah, just a rough track. Nothing like racing.
Good luck on the second moto.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Jeff Emig coming home 3rd. That's Steve Butler, his mechanic. We talked about the sand and what a problem it can present for the bikes. Well, they will get them all cleaned up. They'll also change clutches, and they will be ready for the start of Moto #2, as will we when we come back.
Would you go fishing with a lawnmower? Then why opportunity? Call and order now.
Call toll-free 1-800-532-1818. That's 1-800-532-1818. Or send $19.95 plus shipping and handling to Weed Terminator, P.O. Box 3600, Wallingford, Connecticut. For fastest delivery, use your credit card and call now 1-800-532-1818. That's 1-800-532-1818.
Welcome back to Southwick, Massachusetts. Motocross 338. John Kernan, Jan Beekes, and Jerry Bernardo roaming the pitch. Get a good look there at Ryan Hughes, who's shown a lot of steady improvement this year.
Yeah, and there's Damon Huffman. Now, Ryan Hughes is a guy that I would have expected to see a little further up front because he's very, very fit. Should be good on this sandy track.
Well, there's the winner of Moto number 1, the hometown hero, Doug Henry. And as you look at all of the equipment, the gear that these guys wear, you might wonder why. Well, Jerry Bernardo explains it.
Okay, this is what we call an equipment feature. For some people that are really new to the sport, they don't know. You really have to wear all this stuff. Start at the top, we have this really killer Troy Lee Designs helmet. Goes without saying, helmets are a must. Safety factor number 1. Vision, Scott goggles for rocks, and as Steve said, pebbles being shot at you. Hopefully nobody will be in front of you, right?
I hope not.
All right, then you don't have to worry about that. How did you get so muddy then?
Practice.
Practicing. Then we move down to the chest protector. This is also for deflecting roost and various other debris that may be shot at you from the high-speed Dunlop 752 or whatever. Thanks, Pete. Then we get the jersey, sometimes padded elbows. Gloves, very important. More protection. Down into the nice, 1-800-COLLECT Yoko look pants. Underneath here, usually there's either knee cups, but I think Steve Lamson himself is wearing CTI knee braces, which also help to hold, tendons, cartilage, ligaments, all that stuff within your kneecaps. Is this not true?
Yeah, you're right. Hold your knees together.
Okay, how about boots? Boots. You're always sticking your feet in big ruts. Put your foot down, high speed, supports the ankles. Basically, I knew all of this stuff, but I had to explain it to somebody who's sitting in their house who really doesn't have any clue what's going on. Is there anything I missed?
You got it all.
Kidney belt. You wear one?
I don't wear one.
He doesn't wear one, but sometimes there's a kidney belt. Holds you in. I'll keep you nice and tight. When you slam, it keeps your stomach together. When you're slamming down off and kill a double. That's it. The full-on thing. Safety is the major factor here at each and every race. Am I not right? Steve!
You're right.
I knew that.
Of course, the Steve he's talking about is Steve Garvey, one of our producers. Now, he's got his hands full looking after Jerry Bernardo, but these guys now have their hands full for this start.
Well, it's Steve Garvey, the producer, not the former Los Angeles Dodger. There's the 30-second sign. It goes down. Remember, Doug Henry and Steve Lamson got great hole shots in the very first moto. Let's see what happens here.
Well, they're off the asphalt. Now they're trying to get some traction on the sand so far. The first part of the group is through. A couple tangled riders there in the middle.
Looks like number 97, Chad Lowe, and then also, 262, Tony LaRusso had that great run of Moto number 1. He came home in 6th, and now back up front, it looks like Doug Henry is taking an advantage over Steve Lamson.
Also look like a couple other guys looking back there. There's Lusk. Jimmy Gaddis got a good start. Ryan Hughes. Obviously a couple guys we expected to show strong in the first moto, but didn't. Now working their way up.
Now, I didn't see Jeff Emig in there anywhere, Jan, did you?
No, I didn't, as a matter of fact. We'll have to keep looking, but the number 6 Yamaha rider at the moment, not in contention.
Speaking of in contention, Doug Henry looks like he wants to run away here on the very first lap. He's pulled out quite a bit of distance on his teammate Steve Lamson. Remember, in the very first moto, Henry got the whole shot, led about the first half. Lammy came back, took the lead, led for a few laps, but Henry finally got around and pulled away for the easy victory.
One thing you can see here, you can see the dark sections of this track because this is one of the few tracks where you don't have to worry about watering it between motos. See right there how dark it is? That has been watered so that you can have traction and less dust. On a sandy surface, it's not a problem. You do that on a hard track, it really gets slick.
Well, you mentioned Jimmy Gaddis, who started off in 4th. Ryan Hughes has now gotten around him and taken over the 4th position. But Gaddis have to be very happy with that 5th spot right now, see if he can hang on to it. And now Lamson trying to put a little bit of pressure. As you see Ezra Lusk having a little bit of a problem there as he came down that downhill jump.
As we see the field go through, we just saw, there he was, Jeff Emig. So he didn't fall, but he certainly didn't get the kind of gait that he wanted. Now, Ryan Hughes, who's moved into 4th place, he's a guy we expected to do well in that first moto, finish 7th, but he's very strong. Maybe that'll show here in the second moto.
Well, right now, as they come around by their mechanics, they get the signboard, and they're all being told that go after that number 1 Red Rider because that Honda of Doug Henry is starting to pull away. He's running some brutally quick lap times out here, Jan.
Well, we could also see, look at Ryan Hughes, man. He has closed quickly.
Oh, look at that jump.
Man, just stays on the gas. Wow, that's a way to pick up a position.
No kid, Ryan Hughes taking over the third spot over Ezra Lusk as Yogi kind of got hornswoggled there, I guess you would say, on one of those Looney Tune commercials. But now Ezra trying to come back. They'll go down the hill. Ryan Hughes has the third position. He'll make that right-hand turn. And, he's a little bit of a problem. He's clipped the rear wheel of Ezra Lusk and goes down, but look at that, Jan. He kept the bike running. He alertly pulled in the clutch, kept the motor going, and now he's away and only lost one position as Lusk moves into third place.
Well, on the replay, we could see what happened. First, the pass. On the gas, hard, in the air, flies past Lusk. Great move. Now coming down the hill, look, the front end washes out. He tries to pull it back on line, just gets touched by Lusk, but look, just like you're talking about, he had the clutch in, kept it running, and there's Jimmy Gaddis right there going by him, but he'll probably be working on him in no time.
So he lost a couple of positions. He went from third to fifth. Gaddis went into the fourth position, but right now you're looking at Ezra Lusk, who's riding in the third spot, trying to chase down the two Honda riders. Doug Henry, who's leading it, followed by his teammate Steve Lamson. Is there we are back up front. Once again, Henry is just putting on a display for his hometown crowd.
Now, we talked about Ryan Hughes holding in the clutch. We should talk that on a track like this, on the 125s, these guys use the clutches constantly. They have to replace them in between motos because they need to keep these things in the power band, and a sandy track a lot of times will drag a bike down. The clutch really helps.
Well, they don't downshift as much. They'll use the clutch. They'll keep it, instead of taking downshift into second gear, they'll stay in third. And like you say, the power band remains constant. You get momentum coming out of the turn that way, right?
A sandy track is all momentum. And yeah, you're right. You have to get it just in the right gear. And then if it's not perfect, just feather it, as right now Ryan Hughes is doing. Look at him trying to keep the weight on the back wheel and keep that acceleration going.
Well, we look back. That's the 28th Honda rider. That's Tim Ferry. He's moved up into the top 5 right now. A good ride for him. As you look once again at Ryan Hughes.
Now, they call him Rhino because of how hard he does train. He's strong.
How about Dino Rhino? Well, he's gotten around Jimmy Gaddis and has moved back into the fourth position. Not too bad considering he had clipped wheels with Ezra Lusk, kept his bike going, and got back on track. And earlier in the weekend, we had a chance to talk to Ryan Hughes about his confidence.
Well, earlier in my career, I've had a couple injuries and stuff, so I wasn't always the most confident person. I knew I had the speed. I knew I was faster than anybody out there. It was just being confident, and confident was making me stay on my bike. And, those 3 wins have made me confident. And, I've trained really hard this year, and, training and being confident helps me out. And, before, I knew I could win, but I didn't know how to do it. And now I know how to do it. Now I know how to stay up front and just, race a track and not anybody else. So that made me a lot more confident this year.
Ryan Hughes, when he talked about those victories, he's talking about Supercross. He's yet to win one here outdoors.
But he's looking very impressive right now. Speaking of impressive, Doug Henry impressing everyone here at Southwick. Behind Lamson, but Jan, right now, he could be in trouble as far as points are concerned. He's running in the 6th position.
Well, yeah, it's certainly going to hurt him if things stay the way they are, but we got a good tight shot of the bike. Look at the front. You can see he's one of the few here that are running conventional front forks, meaning that they're not upside down like a lot of the other bikes.
Well, there's the man he's chasing in the battle for the overall points championship for the year, Steve Lamson. But right now, Lamson is having a tough time chasing down his Honda teammate, Doug Henry, who has pulled out to a sizable advantage. Lamson, though, holding a steady second place down right now.
Well, these guys do think about the points even in the middle of a moto. You talked about Huffman, concerned about dropping back in the points. Right here, this man is just thinking, no problem. I'm running up at the front. I'm going to collect points. It's okay. This is all I've got for right now.
And there you see the gap between Doug Henry and Steve Lamson. It looks like it's a good 6 or 7 seconds.
Well, that could change at any time because this is the second moto. These guys are starting to get tired regardless of what they say. We could see how they were in their interviews after the first one. And if one of these guys decides maybe with a few laps to go, they could close that gap really quickly.
Well, Steve Lamson comes back by. The hometown fans of Doug Henry don't want to see him catch. They'd like to see a first-place sweep for Doug Henry here today, and what a show that would be for the fans.
But Steve Lamson's not going to take any big chances. He knows that he's got the points lead, and if he stays right where he is, that's okay. Now, Lusk, on the other hand, he's got to take chances to try and close his gap as far as the championship's concerned.
Well, Ezra Lusk is standing in 3rd place right now in the overall rundown of the riders, and he looks like he's got a fairly comfortable advantage for 3rd place. They go down past the frog pond. Once again, that's like a horseshoe turn. We've seen several riders have problems with that.
Now, of course, this is the other factory Suzuki bike that has the upside-down shocks. Lusk has the upside down, and then Huffman chooses to run the conventional. These guys, being factory riders, can choose what they like the feel of, and in this case, these seem to be working better.
With the upside down, the difference is mainly the flex, right? Oh, and look at Jeff Emig. Jeff Emig has pulled it over. He's sitting down, and that looks like Hurricane Bob Hanna standing off to the left as Emig's mechanics check out the bike. Now, Jan, we had talked about how sand can get in and foul things up. We don't know if that's the case here.
But certainly it does look as though it's a bike problem. It doesn't look like he's crashed. And as you mentioned, Bob Hurricane Hanna, who's been hired on here as a consultant, he helps these guys with his training. And right now you can see he's going to go over and try and give some encouraging words for Jeff Emig. Second time mechanical problems have knocked him out this year.
Well, remember at Sacramento, the second race of the year, he had electrical problems after winning the overall title in Gainesville to open up the year strong. He's got 3 moto wins this year. But, man, that's the thing you cannot afford to have happen when you're battling for a championship. And we'll be back at Southwick in just a moment. Major development with the third-place rider, Ezra Lusk. He pulls it over, and it looks like he's got a serious mechanical problem, Jan.
Well, this is the second bike that we've seen of the front runners go to the side. We don't know for certain if it's the sand that is getting into these components. As you can see right there, Lusk says no idea what's wrong.
Well, it looks like they're working. They might be trying to change the spark plug or something, but Doug Henry and Steve Lamson are having no problems at all. They're running 1-2 right now. That's exactly the same way that they finished in Moto number 1. Well, Jerry Bernardo has caught up with Ezra Lusk. Let's check in with him.
All right, Ezra, you're off the side of the track here in Moto 2. What happened to your bike?
Big ignition or something like that. They're changing the plug right now. But I don't think that's going to help. I think it's more like the ignition, something a little bit more serious. But we'll see.
Up until now, you're running good, strong, and third. A little disappointing.
Yeah, third place. It's okay, but the bike has started running bad right off the get-go, so I couldn't carry momentum. The bike was sputtering and stuff, and I just couldn't stay up with them running like that.
All right, thanks.
Man, what a heartbreaking development there. You see Ed Longacre. They've changed the spark plug. Ed trying to get it refired, but doesn't look good.
Well, right now, if he goes a few more kicks here, I think it's going to be the end of the day for Ezra Lusk.
And that is going to really hurt him in the points. He was only 33 points, or excuse me, 33 points out of first place in 6th. And if he doesn't score many here, that could hurt him very much because the points leader, Steve Lamson, and Doug Henry are running away with this. Now we look back at a battle for third between Ryan Hughes on the Kawasaki, followed by the Suzuki of Damon Huffman.
Well, Ryan Hughes had trouble earlier with the other Suzuki, obviously when he got bumped by Ezra Lusk. Now looks like he's going to get some trouble from Damon Huffman. We talked about Rhino being in good shape, but I'll have to say it does look like he might be tiring here, and it looks like Huffman is much fresher.
Well, Huffman is following basically the same line there. He changes it a little, goes to the inside. We're at the frog pond. They'll come back up once again. This is second gear. They get all the way down to second gear, come up the hill there. You see they get around the lap rider. Who gets out of the way, presents no problem for them. But right now, Ryan Hughes has his hands full, as I was trying to say, as Huffman goes to the inside, trying to make the pass, and he just out-muscles him right there, Jan.
Well, it's not over yet. If he can get good drive here, yes, Ryan Hughes got good drive off that corner and took it back. That was the same section of the course where he had problem with Ezra Lusk. He says, I'm not letting that happen again.
You know, Dale Earnhardt in NASCAR racing does that. He'll let a guy go underneath him. The guy drifts up, takes the outside. Earnhardt shoots underneath and retakes the position. You see him do that all the time. But right now, what a heck of a battle we've got going on here between Ryan Hughes and Damon Huffman for the third position. Right now, it's Rhinos, but it looks like Huffman's getting ready to come right back on him once again.
Ryan Hughes is pushing very hard. Oh, he gets a little bit high there. This might be a chance for Huffman. Huffman gets the inside line. Ooh, sprays him with sand. Man, that was a nice pass.
What do you call it? You get roosted?
Yep, that's what they say. He got roosted there. Said, okay, buddy, I've got you now.
Well, Damon Huffman now has third place, but a very monumental task of trying to chase down Doug Henry and Steve Lamson. But this battle for third is not over yet.
Well, the way that Huffman is pulling away here, it does look possibly as though Ryan Hughes has not saved enough energy for the end. Remember, he finished 7th in the first moto. On the replay, we can take a look here. He gets a little bit high, washes out. Now, right here, this is interesting. Almost looks like Ryan Hughes kind of relaxes a little bit there, and then, wow, does Huffman ever take advantage? And now look at the distance that Huffman has pulled out.
Well, Huffman, yes, he has. He's pulled out quite a bit of distance. on Ryan Hughes' Rhino continues to drop back a little bit. We've seen a couple of the front runners have problems with their bikes. We don't have any indication if that might be a problem with Ryan Hughes, but we certainly will check that out. Doug Henry and Steve Lamson, though, are basically running away with it, folks. We welcome you back to Southwick, Massachusetts. John Kernan, Jan Beekes, and Jerry Bernardo, and we are in the closing stages, and Steve Lamson desperately trying to chase down his Honda teammate, Doug Henry.
It does look as though he has sort of turned up the heat here a little bit. He knows, well, there's a big gap there, but if he knows he's going to do it, he would have to do it right now.
Well, if they just reverse their positions, John, we should talk about this. Lamson, the points leader, if he gets around Henry and wins, Henry finishes second. They flip-flop. Lamson gets the overall title.
Yeah, because it is the second moto that's the tiebreaker. So if he wants to go for the overall, he has to do it here. Remember, he's already happy with his position as far as the points go. But he wants to come and see if he can't take away that hometown victory from Henry.
Well, right now, Steve Lamson, he wouldn't do that to his teammate, would he? Have all the hometown fans here. He wouldn't take away that victory, would he?
That's the one thing he absolutely wants to do. You always want to try and do whatever you can to knock the old teammate down a leg, because when you come racing, that's the guy you really want to beat. Now, talking about Lamson, there has been some rumors that he's talking to Yamaha. He might be a Yamaha factory rider next year, but we asked him about that, and he says, no, all I did was talk to him on the phone. There's no truth to that rumor yet.
Well, right now, we are on the final lap. Doug Henry had about a 6 or 7 second advantage as they came across the line. But I tell you what, Steve Lamson is really putting on the heat as Henry is trying to win back-to-back motos. Remember, he was the overall winner last weekend. This weekend, he's going for his second straight. Doug Henry, the defending national champion who didn't get off to that great start this year.
Well, we talked about the fact he won 7 motos last year and only had 1 coming in here. If he wins this, that'll be 3 motos. That's what it took him last year. He's on pace again for making a run at the title. This will also be very important for him because he has faded in all the other races in the second moto with that stomach problem. Maybe now, finally, he's got a handle on that.
Well, we talked about how physical conditioning plays such a major role at this sandy track, and if Doug Henry is not in shape now, it would start showing. But I'm telling you what, I'm very impressed with him. The way he had the stomach problems early in the year, his endurance was down. He is really coming on. But speaking of coming on, Lamson is cutting down the lead.
Lamson is absolutely going for it. I also find it kind of interesting that here at this track, as physically demanding as it is, they give the second and third place finishers beer coolers. They give the winner a clock. I guess you can say how far ahead you were. But I'll tell you what, Steve Lamson is going to need that beer cooler. Look at the run he's making after here, his teammate Doug Henry.
There he goes. He goes to the inside. They'll come up the hill off the jump. It looks like Lamson is cutting into the advantage. Doug Henry is soon going to have his hands full as his teammate will try to get around and take the win in Moto 2 along with the overall victory. Man, he has done a great job at closing it down. Here they come for the checkered flag. Who's it going to be? Oh, almost a photo finish, but Doug Henry edged him out, maybe by a bike length, maybe by a wheel length. Here's a look at your top 5. Damon Huffman comes on strong after running 6th for a little while. He finishes 3rd. Then it's Ryan Hughes and a great run for Tim Ferry. Brown, Gaddis, Decker, Treadwell, and Sheik round out the top 10. Jerry has caught up with the winner.
Hey, I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but I can add 1 and 1. Sounds like you're the overall winner here at the legendary MX338.
I did it again. Last 4 motors I raced there, I won, so I'm really excited, man. I can't ask for anything more.
Lammy put on a good race right behind you the whole time. Did you see how close he was at the end there?
Yeah, I knew he was there, and I was just trying to stay up. You know, there was some lap traffic there, and I didn't want to try to get in, mix it up with them, and possibly crash. So I just tried to hold my own race. I was getting a little tired, and I was very happy.
Dare you to kiss his muddy cheek. Ooh, right on the lip. Congratulations.
Thanks a lot.
Good show for the fans out here. Anything you want to say to them?
I just want to say thanks a lot, you guys, for coming out, and this track's great. This track is great today, and I love it.
Hey, like Paul Buckley says, this
fun.
ain't no highway.
That's right. There ain't no highway.
All right. Thanks. Good job.
Thanks.
All right, thank you very much, Jerry Bernardo. Very happy Doug Henry comes home the overall winner. Of course he does, with a 1 and 1. Steve Lamson doubles up on the deuces. He is second, followed by Huffman, Ryan Hughes, and Mike Brown. A great run to finish 5th overall. And it's Treadwell, Sheik, Carter, LaRusso.
We did last time, and stayed the same pace, and Doug kind of got away from me a little bit in the middle of the race, and kind of picked it back up, and at the end, and just let it all hang out towards the end, and about a bike length from him at the finish. So, but Doug rode good. I mean, really consistent race. You can't take anything away from him.
We were standing with the mechanics all day in the first turn start. I don't know what year you guys were in, but you had those factory Honda 125s wound. It was like, whoa!
I tell you, my Honda works so good. Cliff White, my mechanic, Mike Gosler, I mean, they've been working hard, and we're getting some horsepower out of that thing even more, and so you can see it getting the starts there, Honda 1 and 2.
Okay, that demanding Southwick sand out there. How do you feel after 2 killer motos?
I feel better this moto than I did last moto. My arms pumped up, like I said before, a little bit, and this time I just felt strong the whole way, and kind of had a little bit of a flat spot there in the middle of the race, and I picked it up towards the end.
All right, thanks, Lammy.
Thank you, Jerry.
Lamson adds a little bit to his points lead. It's now 20 over his teammate Doug Henry. Damon Huffman third, and he is with Jerry Leonardo.
All right, Damon, you got third in the second moto. You had a good little battle going out there with the old number 22. Kind of your arch nemesis. What's his name? Ryan?
I don't know his last name, but been battling with him the whole year long, and you know, it's been close all year, but I'm glad I
Put
took
a
it to
move
him.
on him.
Took it to him today, and you know, it made me feel a little better after losing the last round of the Supercross series. But I think this helped my confidence a little better. You know, I rode really strong that whole moto, and something I kind of been slacking off towards the end. So, you know, I have a new riding partner, and he's working me pretty hard.
Who's that? I don't know his name.
The #1 rider you could have, Kowalski, right now.
Good.
So every day, 30-minute motos, and you know, it's paying off for me.
You know, training really does pay off, and I tell you what, look at these guys. They need some training trying to get these. Look at Doug Henry's got more trouble today off the racetrack. He still can't get that thing off. Well, come on, man. He's had more trouble there than he has